before I get on out of here, I had to talk about a story that's very, very important. And albeit indirectly, it involves Caitlin.
It's in the ongoing WNBA CBA negotiations, and there is a brand new wrinkle to the storyline as it's been reported that there is a Saudi-backed basketball league that will be kicking off next season, and this could truly change everything.
Hey, is this enough to entice Caitlin Clark? $20 million deal, 30, 40, $50 million deals.
Welcome back to WNBA Nova. Today I'm bringing you another exciting news story, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. Stay with me until the very end, because we're going to break down all the important details and reactions. So, without wasting any time, let's get straight into today's story. Everything we think we know about the hierarchy of professional sports is about to change. For months, the narrative has centered on Caitlin Clark's contempt, hurtful comments, and narrow-minded jealousy. But while the WNBA veterans were busy attempting to scare the rookie, the biggest bank account in the world was watching him. We're not talking about a shoe deal. We're not talking about a maximum contract extension. We're talking about a $1 billion disruption that Stephen A. Smith recently verified in real time on TV. These days, rumors on the internet are more than just whispers. A rumor has emerged that the Saudi State Investment Fund is preparing a hostile acquisition of women's basketball. They have also identified Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham as their primary targets. In this trade, the best shooter of a generation would be partnered with one of the league's most marketable talents, creating a breakaway dynamic that the WNBA cannot afford to ignore. Stephen A. Smith issued a warning to the league if they didn't protect their golden goose. He threatened to have someone else visit the entire property. It looks like the check has cleared. To understand why this billion-dollar story is frightening the WNBA front office, you have to look at the messenger. Stephen A. Smith has been the loudest voice in the room regarding Caitlin Clark's abuse. While other analysts attempted to be kind to pretend that it was just competitive spirit, Sass recognized the harsh fouls and the mean female feeling as jealousy. On national television, he screamed that the WNBA was misusing the greatest gift they had ever been given. He highlighted the absurdity of Kennedy Carter's shoulder check, Clark's commercial trip, and his removal from the Olympic team. But his most recent comments have shifted from criticism to a dire prediction. The market always corrects itself, Smith confirmed. He said that a system that pays a celebrity $76,000 a year when her market value is in the hundreds of millions cannot control her. According to Smith, the older guard in the WNBA thought they might scare Clark into waiting her turn, but they failed to recognize the importance of player leverage in the modern period. Smith's confirmation of these outside funding speculations demonstrates one thing. He understands that allegiance ends where contempt begins. He's essentially saying, "I told you so." The league saw her as an enemy. She might now start to compete with them. The loyalty argument completely breaks down at this point. Now, let's examine the numbers in more detail. The WNBA has a strict salary cap. As a rookie, Caitlin Clark received a 4-year contract worth roughly $338,000. That amounts to over $76,000 for her first year. To put that in perspective, some NBA benchwarmers make that amount of money per week. The WNBA has argued for years that we don't have the revenue. The league has reportedly been losing money for 27 years. The hitch is that Caitlin Clark fixed the problem in just 3 months. Since she was drafted, attendance has improved. Records for TV viewing were set decades ago, and sales of jerseys are surging. She is earning millions of dollars for the league. In return, she gets paid a salary that barely pays for living expenses in a large city. It is now hard to ignore the Saudi rumor. The Saudi Public Investment Fund, PIF, deals in billions rather than thousands. When they look at an asset like Clark, they don't see a novice who has to pay her dues. They perceive a global icon that has lost 99% of its value. If the rumors of a $1 billion investment in a new league or tournament format are true, Clark's offer would not be considered a wage. It would lead to an empire. We are talking about an upfront payout that might exceed the total lifetime earnings of every other WNBA player. When you put that check next to the WNBA's $76,000 offer, you have no other option. But wait, this isn't just about one player making a lot of money. This is a calculated geopolitical move. This same thing has happened previously, and it changed sports forever. Remember LIV Golf? The PGA Tour was the only game available for a long time. They had control over the players, the money, and the schedule. Then the Saudis stepped in. They didn't try to work with the PGA. They bought the players. They offered guys like Phil Mickelson and Dustin Johnson hundreds of millions of cash just for showing up. The media expressed outrage about it. It was called sports washing. There were accusations of avarice against the participants. But you know what? Music. After the golfers took the money, the PGA Tour finally had to concede and band together with them. Women's basketball is reportedly adopting the same playbook, according to insiders. WNBA is under danger. The players' pay is insufficient, the travel conditions have been poor for years, and the stars are unhappy. The environment is perfect for a hostile takeover. By pursuing Caitlin Clark, the Saudis are effectively targeting the core of the entire sport. Without her, the WNBA fades back into oblivion. This new Saudi league swiftly becomes well known in the sports world thanks to her. However, a league cannot succeed with only one player. There must be a rivalry. The supporting cast and marketability are both crucial. The rumors about Sophie Cunningham are pertinent in this situation. Why her? Why not Audrey Wilson or Breanna Stewart? The answer is brutally honest: marketability and demographics. Sophie Cunningham's rugged play and brand have attracted a sizable following base. She is recognizable. She knows the social media game, and she has the it factor that advertisers love. There's a reason the cameras catch her on the sidelines. There is speculation that this new league's objective is to put together a dream squad of marketable, globally appealing players. Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham get along nicely. You have the generational potential in Clark and the charming, tough-as-nails enforcer in Cunningham. When launching a new brand, they are the perfect franchise faces. Stephen A. Smith has made multiple references to this marketing machine. The industry depends on celebrities who sell tickets. Clark and Cunningham sell tickets. It really is that simple. We need to talk about Clark's motivations for thinking about leaving the league she wanted to play in. If the WNBA had welcomed her, it might have been easier to decline this $1 million offer. But that wasn't the case. As soon as she was on the court, it was open season. Diana Taurasi alerted Clark to the approaching reality on ESPN during the Final Four. It sounded bitter. The old guard appeared to be in danger from the new blood. The games came next. We saw Clark being hauled up full court, hammered in the paint, and knocked to the ground while the officials swallowed their whistles. It wasn't the basketball player around the world. The Kennedy Carter hip check was painful. It sent a message. Stephen A. Smith blew up after that play. The teammates were where, he asked. Why did the league not stand up for its star, he asked. The narrative became clear. The WNBA veterans refused to hand over the reins. They wanted to release it. In this harsh climate, an escape option seems quite appealing. Why stay at a job where your coworkers hate your success if you could transfer somewhere else, be treated like a queen, and make 50 times as much money? But there have been prior attempts to persuade Clark to leave. Remember the big three? Ice Cube publicly offered Caitlin Clark $5 million to play in his 3-on-3 league for a mere 8 games. $5 million. That is more than she will make in her entire WNBA career. At the time, she turned it down. Her goal was to be successful in the WNBA. She wanted to take home the title. But that was before the hazing. That was before the constant circus in the media and the lack of protection. The Saudi bid is allegedly making Ice Cube's offer look unimportant now that the situation has changed. In this case, the infrastructure is important. The alleged Saudi contract is more than a side employment. It takes the place of the entire league. It offers the legitimacy of a global tour with fewer games, luxurious travel, and no salary cap. All of the players' long-standing complaints are settled by it. The existence of market value was proven by Ice Cube. The Saudis are proving they have the means to ensure its durability. Let's look at this from the perspective of the office of WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. If these rumors are true, she is in grave danger. The WNBA is currently negotiating a new media rights agreement. Billions of dollars are being requested from networks like Disney, Amazon, and NBC. Their entire pitch is based on the Caitlin Clark effect. As they show the graphs of the fast-growing audience, they are telling the networks, pay us for this growth. However, if Clark announces that she is accepting a deal with a rival league, that leverage abruptly vanishes. The networks wouldn't be investing billions in a WNBA without Clark. They are funding the Clark show. If she leaves, the TV deal expires. If the TV deal fails, all of the troops who hazed her lose their revenue share. It is the pinnacle of irony. By upsetting the one player who supplied the money, the veterans might have forfeited their own salaries. Stephen A. Smith has made references to this specific karma. If you bite the hand that feeds you, you don't expect to eat anymore. Now is the time to deal with the elephant in the room. When the Saudi PIF is engaged, the moral police are always on full show. We learned about it from LIV Golf. Just as we did when Ronaldo joined the Saudi Professional League, we will hear it here. Human rights records and the use of sports to enhance a country's prestige will be points of contention. But morality doesn't cover the mortgage, as Stephen A. Smith often notes. When NBA players embezzle millions from China, nobody cares. Before everyone became used to it, the outrage about golfers taking Saudi money persisted for over 6 months. Female athletes face an even more challenging moral dilemma as a result of their ongoing financial struggles. Can we really blame a WNBA player for taking a $10 million check when her current employer values her at $70,000? History shows that supporters follow skill despite differences among fans on the internet. If Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark play hoops on the moon, people will watch. The outrage is short-lived. The wealth that has been passed down through the centuries endures. Let's take a closer look at the Sophie Cunningham connection. This implies that the new league would not employ the traditional city-based team structure. It would most likely be a tour model, similar to tennis or golf. Imagine a situation where famous people like Clark, Cunningham, and others travel to major cities like New York, London, Tokyo, and Dubai to compete in high-stakes tournaments or demonstration matches. This strategy eliminates the boring regular season games that nobody watches. The entire focus is on the show. By introducing Sophie, they guarantee the social component. Cunningham and Clark have a chemistry that is marketable. They represent a new generation of hoopers who are bold, stylish, and gifted. This breakaway concept is a threat to the WNBA because it exploits casual viewers. Every place she goes, the millions of new followers who watch Clark only will follow her. However, the devoted WNBA supporters might remain. As she announces a partnership with Cunningham under a Saudi banner, the WNBA becomes a training ground for the real show. This idea is further supported by the relevant group's response, or lack thereof. We haven't heard a denial, but in order to avoid distractions, agents frequently rapidly put an end to absurd rumors. Caitlin Clark's crew hasn't faltered. Sophie Cunningham's camp is silent. Stephen A. saw it. Smith is igniting the fires rather than extinguishing them. When it comes to sports, silence usually means that conversations are happening. They can't make any announcements until the season is over or the ink dries, but the lack of a denial says a lot. They are most likely either ready to leave the WNBA or using this offer as leverage. Additionally, consider the timing. The WNBA season is hard. Traveling is difficult. The physical cost is substantial. As the season goes on, the allure of a private jet and billion-dollar support intensifies. The quiet suggests that the participants have realized they are in control. What does this not mean for us? The biggest shift in women's sports history is going to take place. Stephen A. Smith has given a concise explanation. The WNBA allowed jealousy and poor management to drive a wedge between the league and its rescuer rather than welcoming the future. The purported $1 billion deal with a Saudi league that features Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark has more to it. It's a revolution. It suggests that if the current mechanisms are unable to adequately pay women, someone else will. The Sophie and Caitlin phase might not be happening in a WNBA. The WNBA is entirely to fault if that is the case. Whether she leaves is still up in the air. The question is when. And when the money is revealed during the press conference, the sports world will never be the same. If Clark and Cunningham were in a breakaway league, would you still watch the WNBA?